Hello, everyone. You too can have a podcast. You have a passionate voice. You want to be heard. You can be inspiration to others. And it is super easy. You all know that I am not technical. So just download the Anchor app on your phone or go to anchor.fm and get started sharing your voice and inspiring the world. Hello, I'm Kendra Von Esch, and you are listening to my 10-minute daily podcast, Reality Reflections. I bought into what this world said would make me happy. Money, prestige, power. And hey, if it feels good, do it, because life is stressful, so party hard. Do whatever makes you happy. But that didn't quite work out, because I felt even more insecure, full of fear, shame, and anxiety, and never, ever good enough. Then God found me and flipped my reality upside down and transformed my life. And I want this for everyone. So I left my executive career to help others find true acceptance, supernatural peace, joy, and love that only comes from a relationship with God. Here is my reality reflection for today. Let's talk about loving people where they are and how important it is that we root ourselves in humility and patience. We have to remember that we can only control ourselves and how we react to those in our lives and the situations and circumstances that come our way. And if we start every day humbly asking the Lord into our hearts, into our lives, to purify our hearts, to make our hearts pure, to replace our hearts. I say sometimes with Mary or with the Sacred Heart of Jesus, because I know how dirty and impure my heart is. Let's remember that everything comes from the heart. Our thoughts, our words, our deeds come from the heart. Our prayer, if well prayed, comes from the heart. That's why we need to ask the Lord to purify it and cleanse it every single day. And to give me your heart, Lord, because mine is selfish and impatient and not kind. So when we ask the Lord into our hearts, and we know that everything starts with us, and we stop looking at these people and these circumstances and wish them to change, life becomes sensible. I mean, it makes total sense. I know a lot of you have people in your life that push buttons. They could be your spouse. They could be your kids. They could be your coworkers that you spend a lot of time with. People in your family. But when you look inward to yourself, to your own heart, and not how these other people need to change, or how this circumstance or situation needs to change, everything flips around and life makes sense, because we should be working on ourselves, because that's where everything comes from, our heart. And if our heart is a rock, it's a heart of stone and not this beautiful, loving flesh, where everything that God is resides there, we're just going to be conditionally loving people. I will love you when you do this or when you don't do that. And we will be looking at situations and circumstances trying to change them, things that are completely out of our control. Instead of accepting and loving yourself and everyone that's in that circumstance. We need God's sanctification, God's transformation in order to love people and be patient and kind. That's the simplest way that love is defined. And we have to let it go. We've got to give our loved ones to God and all of the ways in which they are maybe not living a holy life, or the characteristics, personality traits that we so desperately want to change. That's where humility comes, right? We're giving it to God. God, I am giving you this person. Help me love them like you love them. Help me love them like you love them, God. And we also, I think it does us good to look at our own life and to look at how God has forgiven us and how patient He has been with us and continues to be with us. We need to imitate Jesus and Mary. She was always pondering in her heart the situation. She was praying in her heart. She was humble. And yes, she was patient. We can ask for Mary and Jesus and her beloved spouse and God the Father and all of the holy angels and saints, of course, our guardian angel, to intercede for us, to help us, to heal us. So that's where we focus on ourselves, on our hearts, because we need to love people right now without trying to change them. It will be our love for them, unconditional love, that will make them love more. I don't know if you've ever had a situation where it's like love begets love. I've said this many times with my brother, who I didn't like, actually could say the word hate for most of my life. Battles drinking. And yet, when I was prompted by the Holy Spirit and I went to hug him during a Christmas party, and then the next day I hugged him and kissed him on the cheek and told him I loved him, he changed. His attitude toward me started changing. He started texting me and just saying, I love you. He would say, I'm really proud of you. What you're doing, with your ministry and how God's been working in your life. Did he stop drinking? No. He still has that cross. But did I withhold my love for him because he's battling with that? No. On the contrary, I think I love him more. And I pray for him more because I believe that's what he's seeking, is love and acceptance, which all of us seek. And when God is working on you, when you two are working together, where you've become humble and you give it to God, your heart will change. Your patience will grow. Your love for that person will be different. It won't be based on them anymore. That's the shift. Work on yourself. We cannot change others. Only God can change others, but we can love people to Him. We can bring God into those relationships. Lord, thank you so much for giving me this husband of mine. I am so grateful. How amazing would that be to hear your husband or your spouse say that about you out loud, giving credit where credit is due to God? Hello. Awesome. So if we could put our own selfish desires away and quite frankly, look at ourselves and realize, geez, I'm far from perfect. We can go to God and ask Him to come into our hearts and transform us. And we need to be patient with ourselves. I want to end with that. We need to love ourselves, to be patient and kind with ourselves, because transformation takes time. Yes, you may have a Saul Paul moment where, boom, you get patience out of the blue. More power to you. But that doesn't really happen to me. It's a process. Remember the 3 Ps, right? It's a process, and I don't know God's timing. I don't know why He's not given me the ability to love this person unconditionally yet. Must be something I need to work on, or it must be something that I need to be a witness to someone else to see. But when we finally realize that we are the ones that need help from God to change our hearts, and that we need to love ourselves and be patient and kind with the process, we can then patiently await, but yet be persistent in our prayer. We don't stop praying for that change in us or in other people, but we throw humility in there and say, Lord, only if it's your will be done. God is love. And you know the second commandment is to love ourselves and love our neighbors. And you know that the first one is so important, because if we don't have God the center of our heart, there's no way we can do the second commandment. So let's be aware of ourselves. Let's pay attention to when those emotions start bubbling up, or when that impatience is going to come out in an act or a word, that we can reach out to God to stifle it, to give us that beautiful grace of peace and love and kindness, right? Love is patience and kindness. And I'm telling you, you will notice. People around you will notice, because that's the fruit of the Holy Spirit growing within us, in our hearts. It's impossible not to see it coming out of somebody else, in their words, in their deeds, and honestly, in their thoughts. I want to go there real quick, and then I'll let you get on with your day here, but our thoughts, St. Paul says, capture every thought. Make it all about Jesus. So when you're starting to think about someone else in a negative way, gosh, I just wish he or she would do this or change that, and they're really getting on my nerves. And well, when you continue to let that thought grow and grow and grow, and you're reinforcing those negative thoughts about that person, you're not doing yourself any good. It's almost like, not exactly the same, but the logic is, if you look at a woman with lust, you've already committed the sin in your heart. So we need to stop the negative thoughts as well. Not just stopping with our criticism through our mouth, or the way that we withhold our love and our actions, we've got to control our thoughts as well, which means we don't entertain that anymore. The minute we start thinking about that person and how they bother us, we've got to get it out and ask the Lord to fill us with love, peace, all of those beautiful graces that we need to love like we should. We're supposed to be the light. People need to look at us and say, what's up with that person? They're always joyful. They're always smiling. They're always patient. They're super kind. And I want that. I want to live life like that. And then they hopefully ask and talk to you. And then you bring up the fact that it's all God. You have nothing to do with it. Glorifying Him with your life. That's what that means. But those are fruits of the Holy Spirit. And it all comes from God. So I'm going to stop and allow you to get into your day. Ask the Lord to change your heart. And be patient with it. Because it may or may not come overnight. And again, it is a virtue, so we do have to practice it. It's not something that just comes to us and boom, we're all of a sudden this massive patient person. We have our good days, our bad days, even within the same day, our good moments and our bad moments. But bringing God into it, it's a whole lot easier. And when we stop trying to change others and do something for them in their life, so to speak, and start focusing on our own heart, our thoughts, our words, our deeds, it just simplifies everything. Because we can only control ourselves, and we can only control ourselves in the best way possible with God. All righty, everyone. I love you all. Go out there and be love. Be patient. Be kind. Find something more with God and have a blessed and inspired day.